Good evening, audience. Welcome to the Scare Void. Here, forgotten stories find echoes, whispered packs resurface ... And the silence, at last, speaks. I am Mr. Void. Your voice in the dark ... But before we delve into the shadows of the night, tell me, do you have the courage to stay until the end? Most who listen ... do not return, perhaps through carelessness, or perhaps because they could never sleep the same way again. If you think you can handle it ... click subscribe now. I never used to be impressed by ghost stories, or that whole creature in the woods thing. But after that night, I stopped laughing. I'm a taxi driver, been doing it for 14 years. I've seen everything. Drunk people throwing up in the front seat, armed robberies. I was even almost kidnapped once by two guys who got in, pretending they were going to a hotel. But what happened on that dirt road was different. Very different. It was a Friday, around 9 at night. I was already thinking about calling it a night when I got a message on my phone. It was a regular customer, Dona Luzia. She lives on a ranch, way out there, about 30-40 minutes from downtown. Every time she came to town to shop, she would call me. Everything was standard. I picked her up at a shopping mall, helped her put some bags in the trunk, and we chatted on the way. The road was rough, full of rocks, but I knew it well, so I took it slow. I dropped her off at the gate, wished her good night, and backed up to return. But about 5 minutes down the road, I felt the car pull, flat tire. I stopped on the side of the road, got out with my cell phone flashlight, blown out, and guess what? The spare I had was already on the car. I had put it on 2 days before and forgot to buy another. There I was, in the middle of the woods, everything dark, cell phone with 12% battery. I called my brother. I'm in the middle of the dirt road going to Luzia's ranch. I got a flat tire. Come with your car and bring a spare, please. I'm already closing up here. Give me about 30 minutes. Okay. I locked myself in the car, turned on the radio low, just so it wouldn't be completely silent. I looked to the side. Darkness. Not even a lamppost. Nothing. Then, out of nowhere, I felt the car rock. I'm not talking about wind. No. It was like when someone leans on the hood and gives it that playful push, you know, only stronger. I sat still, with my hand on the steering wheel. I looked in the rearview mirror. Nothing. I crouched down to look through the windows. Nothing. I lowered the window a little. And that's when I heard it. Laughter. Not normal. High-pitched. Like, I don't know. Children laughing, but with a mocking tone, a sneering tone. I closed the window right away. Locked all the doors. I squeezed the rosary that I always keep hanging on the rearview mirror and started to pray. Quietly, trying to convince myself that it was just my head playing tricks on me. But it wasn't, because the car rocked again, this time stronger, like when someone jumps on the rear bumper, and the laughter increased. It came from all sides, left, right, behind, as if ... they had surrounded me. And the worst part, there was no one, nothing, not even footsteps on the dirt, no shadow, no animal running. Just the sound of the bushes moving and the sound of these thin, short laughs, as if they were taunting me. I picked up my cell phone to call my brother again. I was trembling so much that I could barely type. Dude, come quickly. I know it sounds crazy, but there's something here. This isn't people, he just replied. I'm already on the road. I'm about 10 minutes away, but those 10 minutes turned into an eternity. I stayed there, huddled in the driver's seat, praying. My eyes darted from one corner of the window to the other, trying to see something, anything. But nothing ever appeared, until it stopped. The car stopped rocking, the laughter disappeared, the woods were quiet, and it was in that silence that I felt the presence. I can't explain it, but it was as if there was someone glued to the rear window, without touching it, just watching. My brother arrived soon after. He got out quickly, called me. I couldn't even respond at the time. I just unlocked the door, got out kind of staggering, and helped him change the tire. I didn't tell him anything there. I just wanted to get out of that place. We went back home, each to his own corner. I thought it had ended there, but in the morning, my brother woke me up. He was pale. "Come here, look at this." I went with him to the garage. He pointed to the side of the taxi. Right there, near the back door, there was a mark. It looked like a hand, but it wasn't normal. It was small, like a child's hand, but it only had 3 fingers, 3, long, like claws. It didn't just leave the mark. There was a type of greenish slime around it, as if something damp had touched the metal. I almost threw up at the time. That mark with 3 fingers stayed on the car for days. We cleaned it, and it came back. It wasn't ordinary dirt. It was like a sticky, greenish, kind of metallic oil. It didn't have a strong smell, but when you put your nose close, you seemed to smell mold and copper, like you were smelling a house locked for 100 years. But all right, life goes on. Or, at least, that's what I tried to do, but it didn't work out. First came the smell. I started to smell that same strange smell somewhere between rotten and metallic inside the car. Even with the windows open, even cleaning everything. It didn't matter, it came back. Then came the noises. Always around 3:17 in the morning. The same time, every day. Like it was a macabre alarm. There were clicks in the dashboard, creaking in the back seat, as if someone was moving around there silently. I swear to you, void. I stopped looking in the rearview mirror. I'm not just saying it. I really stopped. I taped it over with electrical tape. It was as if, every time I looked, there was almost something there, like a shadow, a glimpse, a reflection that you could never focus on. My wife, who always used the car with me on the weekend, told me once, "Have you noticed that there are days when the taxi gets freezing cold, even in the sun?" And yes, it was true. There were days when, even with the air conditioning off, the passenger seat in the back was cold as stone. Not just chilly, cold, damp cold, cemetery cold. But then came what made me stop. It was about 2 in the morning. I was heading back home, end of my shift. I took a stretch of deserted road near where everything happened. In the back seat, the seatbelt started to pull on its own, slowly, as if someone had sat there and was adjusting the belt across their chest. I slammed on the brakes, turned everything off. The sound of the seatbelt locking on its own is still in my head today. It was a dry click, metallic, very clear. There's no way to confuse it with the sound of wind, or the road, or the car moving. I didn't turn around. I swear I didn't turn around, but I felt it. I felt a warm breath right behind my ear, and along with it, the same high-pitched laughs from the other night. Quiet, mocking, like children when they want to tease you. I got home without remembering how I drove there. I turned off the car, dropped the keys in the garage, and went inside. I spent the night on the sofa, light on. The next morning, my 4-year-old daughter wakes up and says, "Dad, who is the little man who's sitting in your car?" I froze. I asked what she meant. Yesterday, when I went to the window, there was a little man, with his hand like this. She made the gesture, 3 little fingers extended. I didn't say anything. I just hugged her. After that, I stopped using the taxi. I sold it a few weeks later. I told my wife it was because of the costs, the apps, the gasoline. A lie. It was fear, terror. But you know what the worst part is? These things didn't stay in the car. There are nights when I still hear laughter outside the living room window. Not always, but enough for me to never sleep with it open again. And sometimes I find tiny footprints on the ground in the backyard, with 3 fingers, always 3. I know that many people will laugh at this. They'll think I'm exaggerating or making it up. But if you saw what I saw, if you had felt that presence glued to your neck, laughing, you wouldn't go back on that road either. Never again. It's been a good few years since I left the wheel, but every now and then, some things come back, some smells come back, some images stick, and this story has never left my head. I worked as a taxi driver for over 12 years. It wasn't a big city, so we did everything. Airport, bus station, rural areas, supermarket. Customer asked, we went. Night, day, rain, or in the pitch dark. You learn to recognize strange people behind the wheel. The kind who gets in looking around, who takes a long time to answer where they're going. But that guy, ... he was different. It wasn't just strange. There was something about him that ... made the air in the car heavier. It was a Tuesday, if I remember correctly. It was almost midnight, and I was heading back home, tired, but still driving greed, you know. That's when I saw him, standing on a cracked sidewalk on the corner of a poorly lit street. He waved me down. He was a man of about 60 years old, dirty clothes, unkempt beard, and he was carrying a sack. A kind of grimy sack, the kind you get at the market. When he got in the car, he put the sack on the seat next to him, and I asked, politely, "Friend, if you could put the sack on the floor." "My seat is clean, I just washed it." He looked at me, just looked. A stare without blinking, without expression. But he put it on the floor, and said the address. It was in one of the roughest neighborhoods in the city, the kind of place where even dogs bark with fear. We went the whole way in silence. He only looked ahead, holding the sack firmly as if it had something valuable in it, or ... too heavy. When we arrived, I recognized the street. It was an alley with old houses, surrounded by weeds, fallen fences, and a silence that seems to cling to your ear. His house was the last one on the block. Small, with a single window in the front and a door almost on the ground. Paint peeling, no lights on. He got out without saying anything. I stayed there, waiting for the payment. That's when I looked at the window of the house. There was someone there, a woman, young, light hair, skin too white, almost grey. She didn't knock on the window, didn't make a noise, but her expression, it was as if she was screaming without sound. She was asking me for help, with her eyes, with her mouth, moving slowly, as if she was saying, "Get me out of here." My fingers froze on the steering wheel. The man came out of the house with the money, approached slowly, handed me the exact amount and said, "You can go now." He didn't thank me, he didn't smile, he just went back inside. And when I looked at the window, she wasn't there anymore. I stayed parked there for a few minutes. I don't know why, maybe waiting for her to appear again, maybe waiting for courage to do something. I ended up calling 911. I asked for a patrol car. I couldn't leave there pretending I didn't see anything. They arrived about 10 minutes later. I stayed on the corner, inside the car, watching. And then comes the part that still gives me a chill in my stomach. The man let them in, without discussion, without resistance, as if he knew they would come. And when the police came out of there, they were taking him away in handcuffs. They took him, and they brought something else too. A body, covered with a sheet, lying on an improvised stretcher. I got out of the car. I approached slowly. I told them what I saw. I described the woman at the window, and the policeman only stared at me for a second. Then he looked at his partner and said, "It matches. The woman I saw, ... had been dead for more than 24 hours. The police confirmed it. The woman I saw in the window had been murdered the day before, in that same house, in the same room." I asked, naively, if there wasn't another person inside. Another woman, maybe a relative, maybe alive. But there was no one, only her. And what chilled me the most was the officer's expression when I described the girl I saw. He nodded slowly and said, "That's her." They knew. They had already seen this before, or at least, they had already heard something similar. The guy, the man with the sack, had kidnapped the woman days before, and killed her just like that, without clear motivation, without logic. In the sack, there were the materials to bury her in the back of the house. Shovels, plastic bags, it was all there. If I hadn't called, I don't know. Maybe he would have disappeared with the body, buried, burned, taken away, become just another number on the missing persons list. But he couldn't, because she looked at me. She asked me for help with her eyes, and I saw. Even though logic says that this is not possible, I saw. After that night, it took me a while to go back to work. It wasn't just the fear, it was something else. A feeling that stuck to my chest and never left. You know that thing of you thinking, what if I had gone home? What if I hadn't looked at the window? What if I had ignored it, like we do so many times? Because the truth is that I almost ignored it. And what gives me chills is not what I saw, it's what I almost failed to see. Weeks later, I tried to talk to a priest in the city. I asked if he had already heard stories like that, souls that appear after death, not to scare, but to ask for help. He answered something that I can't get out of my head. The body dies, but despair ... sometimes doesn't know it has died. I never went down that street again. I never looked at a window of someone else's house the same way. But sometimes stopped at a light, I remember. And I think, how many other people aren't there? Trapped between what happened and what no one wanted to see, and worse. How many did we leave behind because we didn't want to get involved? I never saw her again, but sometimes, at night, when the car radio made interference for no reason, I swear I heard a dry knock 3 times, as if someone was touching the rear window. Knock, 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 and a voice that wasn't a voice, but seemed to say, "Thank you." It was just any Tuesday, 2 in the morning. The airport almost empty. I was the only taxi in line. The cold, early morning wind hit the windows. Most of the flights had already arrived. I was almost about to leave when she appeared. A woman, elegant, the kind who draws attention without trying. Business suit, discreet earrings, red lipstick. But what really caught my attention were the sunglasses. Yes, at night. Sunglasses at 2 in the morning. She approached and asked in a low, firm voice, "Are you available?" I nodded. She got in the back seat. No suitcases, no bags, just a handbag, small. discreet. She gave the address. It was outside the city, about 30 minutes into the countryside, towards a rural area almost without cell service. I accepted. Good fare. She would pay well. The ride was ... strange. I tried to make small talk, as usual, to break the silence. First time around here, she just said, yes, nothing more. No smile, no exchange of glances. Just that uncomfortable silence and the sunglasses reflecting the dashboard of my car. The road was completely empty. Clear sky, no other soul around, until, out of nowhere, she pointed to the right. There, where the lights are. I looked, and there they were. In the middle of the woods, at the side of the road, there was a small arcade, illuminated, alive, full of colorful lights, like a fair or an old-fashioned arcade. A wooden building, kind of retro, with signs flashing in blue and red. I had never seen that there before, and I knew those roads like the back of my hand, but everything seemed so real, so out of place, that I remained silent. I parked where she indicated. She paid me exactly, without saying anything else. She got out of the car and entered that store. I stayed there, parked, and it was only then that I realized the store was empty. The lights were shining, but there wasn't a soul in there. No clerk, no customers, just games on. Screens running on loop, a ghost arcade. I took a deep breath, swallowed hard, and turned around to return to the city, and that's when I saw it. She had forgotten her bag. I returned on the same road, driving slowly. Her bag was on the back seat, closed, light, without any visible identification. I tried to convince myself that it was just a weird woman, that maybe the store was new and I just hadn't noticed it before, that everything was all right. But that feeling, that strange itch at the back of my neck, wouldn't leave me alone. I went back. 15 minutes later, I parked in the same spot, or at least I tried, because the store was no longer there. Nothing, not the sign, not the lights, just weeds, an open field with some dry trees, and the crooked lamppost where I had parked before. I swear to everything, it was the same spot, the same post, the same road, but now, there was nothing. I got out of the car. I stood there, looking into the darkness for a few minutes. Short breaths, heart stuck in my chest. I took a walk around. I checked if there were footprints, a trail, some construction further ahead. Nothing, absolutely nothing. It was as if the store had never existed. I got back in the car, locking all the doors. I placed the bag on my lap, carefully. The black leather, the thin strap, no label, no brand, no open zippers. I opened it slowly, deliberately, precisely, empty. There was absolutely nothing inside. Not a wallet, not a document, not a cell phone, not even dust. It was as if that bag only existed to make me go back. I returned to the city in silence, with the radio off and my eyes glued to the road. I spent the following days trying to find an explanation. I told what happened on paranormal forums. I talked to fellow taxi drivers. Some laughed, but others said they had already heard similar stories, of places that appear and disappear, of passengers that aren't exactly passengers. One guy sent me a private message. He said that what I saw might be a window of parallel reality, a crossing point. Others thought I had given a ride to an entity, something that only assumes form for a limited time, something that forgot the bag, or maybe didn't forget, maybe wanted me to come back. Maybe that place, that store was an illusion just to pull me back. For what? I don't know. But every time I pass on that road, I avoid looking to the side. And if I see any lights flashing, I step on the gas and keep going straight. And the bag, I still have it. I kept it in a box at the back of the closet. I never touched it again. But sometimes, when the silence of the early morning is very strong, I hear a muffled sound coming from inside the wood, as if someone on the other side of reality was still trying to finish the game. Have you ever taken someone who seemed not to belong to this world? Have you ever seen a place that shouldn't exist? Tell us in the comments. And if you're driving late at night, look twice in the rearview mirror. Not every passenger is human. You've made it to the end. Congratulations. Not everyone does. If these stories gave you chills, made you glance at the dark corners of the room, share it with someone who needs to know the price of certain desires. Subscribe. The next account might be about someone like you. This is Mr. Void, and until our next journey through the shadows of the Scare Void,